Hello and welcome to the Franchise Tag Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Hall, for the old fan, the new fan, and the UK fan. And thank you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming to watch us again. We are into the NFL 2022 off season. It's very short time away. We're getting into March now. Well, nearly halfway through March, really. And we've got the free agency coming up soon. We've got the combine coming up soon. And we're going to be here every step of the way in the off season. Myself, Andrew, Adam. We're going to have, we've got a new gentleman who is going to be joining us, who we will reveal in later weeks, who hopefully is going to be with us a bit more full time as well. A face that you do recognize on this podcast and on many other podcasts as well. Cracking bloke, and he's going to be joining us. Still got the same team in the back office doing all the editing and everything like that. And again, we thank them for the work they've been doing. But this is going to be like the fourth year for the Franchise Tag Podcast, Andrew. And to think for me, like coming into this off season, going into next season, like from where we started to where we are now, for you just sort of listening and giving me advice, to you being, one of the opponent fiction, having your own shows on the Franchise Tag Podcast, it really shows what, an amateur NFL podcast, and that's what we are. It can really do, because I really feel like we're really rocking out in the world. And, how happy have you been with the progress we've made so far?
Oh, it's just unbelievable. I remember the first time you asked me just to do a little segment for you to help you out, and I recorded it and listened back to it. I was like, oh my God, I sound so nervous. My voice is breaking a bit. The team that we've got now it's so good. And just hearing some feedback from the guys that we know and things like that, and saying like we're the only podcast that they listen to now. There's all the options of all the big American guys and stuff that are out there that like are famous, but people are choosing to listen to this, and it really is quite touching when you hear that we have those listeners and they're there, and all the things that we've accomplished and going forward. It's just getting bigger and bigger. It's such a great ride to be on.
It's getting bigger and better. And of course, we've got to thank our co-host Adam, who isn't with us this evening. And he's going to be very upset that he's not here this evening, because we will dive straight into the big news of Green Bay very soon. But Adam's nearly hit 10,000 followers on Twitter. I really appreciate everyone who's been following us. We're nearly at that 10,000 mark. We've got to keep going, because Andrew and him do have a little side bet where I think it's a case of wine, isn't it? If you can get 10,000 by the start of the next season.
That's correct. Yeah, I said to him, if he said I can get 10,000 followers, I said, you do that, I'll get you a case of red wine, mate. So he keeps keeping me updated and things like that. But I think it's money well spent if he gets it up to that 10,000. It's no loss for me here.
It's an investment, not a losing bet. It's an investment, of course. And like I said, we need to really dive down. We've been off for a couple of weeks. Yes, the mustache is still here. Yes, the long hair is still here. I'm still rocking with it. That may change. There's a guy that also rocks a mustache sometimes in the season, and we're going to jump right into it, because it's been a very big afternoon for all of us NFL fans. The unanswered question of whether Aaron Rodgers is going to stay in Green Bay has finally been answered. From week one, we took the mick out of Adam about whether Aaron Rodgers would be there next season, and it has been up and down. There's been rumors here. There's been really cutting comments from Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers at times. But he's finally signed a new deal, a 4-year deal for $200 million. That makes him the highest paid player in NFL history. That is $153 million guaranteed, which means that his cap number is going to come down. We will talk about the implications of that in a minute. But Andrew, what a wild ride this Aaron Rodgers journey has been. It was really the Pat McAfee show that sort of released he's going to stay in Green Bay, and then later on it was more announced about the details of the deal and about Aaron finally putting pen to paper and being there for 4 more years. At the prime of his career, there was lots of teams who were sniffing for him, but were looking to trade for him, that knew he was unhappy. But money maybe talks over happiness, and he feels like he maybe has a few more Super Bowl runs left in him with this Green Bay team.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come as a massive shock to me that he's gone back to Green Bay. I think we were kind of told that he was leaving, he was done, he's definitely going to the other teams. But when you really look at it and the relationship that's been built over the season that's just gone, I feel like things were fixed a little bit. Like there wasn't, apart from the off season, which was an absolute drama, coming into the year and getting settled into the year, it seemed like that team was all on the same page and things were clicking. I know they all did say, the last dance, they're all doing it for that, but it clicked and it was good. And yeah, they fell at a final hurdle in the playoffs, but he's got a good setup there. He knows the drill there. He knows everything. Going to another team, I think is a big risk and a big step out your comfort zone of, and it could go horribly wrong, despite how talented he is. So, this I think this is a great move for Green Bay, and I think it's a great move for Aaron Rodgers to stay there. So fingers crossed they can rebuild round him for those 4 years and really keep the momentum going that they've got there.
And the complacency about Aaron Rodgers being in Green Bay has been, though Devontae Adams has been there and Robert Tonyan, who's a great tight end. They've had some all right second string, third string wide receivers. And Aaron Jones as well, who's a top running back. AJ Dillon, who's looking like a fantastic running back as well. The argument has been for a while, they don't surround Aaron with weapons. They don't surround him with weapons. They don't draft wide receivers. We've said it before, and again, this is no offense to anyone in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Wisconsin is not seen as a desirable place to go. It is not New York. It is not the Californias. It's not Texas with no state tax. It's not Florida with no state tax. It's a cold country with not an owner. It's a fan-owned team. And it can be sometimes a little bit directionless when that happens, maybe. And I'm not criticizing that. I think fan-owned teams, it's worked very well in other teams and other sports, like at Barcelona, for example. However, they've had incredible money troubles, I suppose. But Aaron's problem in Green Bay has been that he's felt that he's deserved and had the right to be able to have that input in the structure of the Green Bay team. And he won them a Super Bowl. He's been fantastic there for years. He's taken them very close for a number of years. He's been MVP a handful of times now. Do you think with this pen to paper deal, there is maybe some things within this deal that maybe verbally have been agreed where I need to have more say in this team? You need to get me weapons. I'm now in, I'm not even sure what age he is now. Is he 33?
38?
I believe.
I think it's 38.
Really? I didn't realize he was old as that. I will double check that just in case. But I have to do that on the side while I'm talking. But do you think now, 38 years old, 4 more years, that takes him to 42. This is the last stretch for me, really. We can really call that now. Now it's a 4-year deal, unless he does Brady and goes on even further, which I can imagine he would probably stay in Green Bay, or if he does, he might do a Tom Brady situation and go to a team which has a very full roster. Do you think there's some verbal agreements here that have happened in the Green Bay organization with Aaron?
Yeah, I think now he's got a head coach that's on his side. I think Matt LaFleur's been. I think those two work really well together. And prior to that, I think there was a lot of you're just a quarterback, just throw the ball. But I think Matt LaFleur's kind of got this Aaron Rodgers is my guy. I like him. We work well together. And I think that's kind of broken down maybe the back office of it has worked. It did work. Maybe we need to start listening a little bit and things like that. The Jordan Love situation hasn't worked out. Some of the draft picks of previous have been very questionable now. So I think there's got to be that point where you go, how do we move this forward in the right way and take the advice from some of the seniors that are there? Because Gutekunst obviously hasn't quite got it right when it's just been him on his own. And I think there's got to be a part of this franchise that goes, remember those 2 years where we were bad? We can't do that again. Let's try and listen and to the young guys that's the future. So I think there is his GM's on his head coach is on his side, and I think that helps. It's 2 against 1. So I think there has been some discussion about involvement and how to do it.
We'll talk about the implications for other players in a second, but we'll dive right with the Jordan Love thing, because it seems, as you mentioned him, and obviously the drafting of him, incredibly controversial at the time. It really felt that maybe that was going to be the natural succession. It was if Rodgers would move on, they'd have Love starting. He did appear in 1 or 2 games last year. Didn't look bad, didn't look good, I suppose. What can you expect from a guy who's not starting week in, week out, and is still a young player and has never really been the true starting quarterback of this team? What does the narrative now hold for Jordan Love? Because it's interesting. There's a lot of teams out there that would mind trading for a young quarterback. I don't think the price is going to be too high on Jordan Love. Or do you just keep Jordan Love and for that succession at some point, or what is this story next for Jordan Love?
I suppose it depends what they really want to get out of price wise for him, because you're always going to need a backup quarterback. There's always that 38 years old. What if he doesn't stay healthy? What if he gets a knock? Jordan Love's going to be ready to come straight in because he's been there 2 years. He's had a couple of snaps in first team football, so he knows the organisation. He's worked with the players as the first team, as the starter in training and things like that. So I think they've got him on 2 to 3 more years on his rookie deal. So he's cheap. They haven't got to go out and get a veteran backup that might cost them a bit more in cap space for 1 year. Jordan Love is cheap. But if they want to build a team because they haven't got cap space, maybe getting rid of Jordan Love for some more picks and things like that in future drafts, they're going to need that. So his value is going to be highest at the moment because we've seen a little bit of him and he's still young. I think if we don't see any of him, it's just going to go down, and then they're going to get nothing for him at the end of his rookie deal, and he might end up just on his way on the waivers. So yeah, I think they'll probably keep him because you need a backup, and I think he ticks the box for that for them, and he's been there a good length of time to develop relationships. So yeah, what are your thoughts with Jordan Love? Have you got anything?
I think that his most valuable asset at the minute is his age and the cost. I think that is his valuable asset at the minute, is that he's a young quarterback. He is dirt cheap for any team to go and get him. I think it just really depends on what the organization wants. I admit, but it really depends on what Jordan Love wants as well. Does he want to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years? Let's say Aaron Rodgers is fit for 4 years. Does he want to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for 4 years, potentially win a Super Bowl within that 4-year period? I mean, again, flip side is they could not go to Super Bowl in these next 4 years. That is also very feasible. Does he sit and wait for Rodgers to go? Just because Rodgers is penning a 4-year deal does not mean he will do the 4-year deal. It's been said with the reports coming out that Aaron really considered retirement, very, very much considered retirement. Is Love sort of in that thing of, well, yeah, he's got a 4-year deal, but is he going to be here forever? It's a great organization, Green Bay. For me, I think he's got to sort of look around at the desperate teams for a quarterback. But the problem is with that as well, is he would be thrust right into the fire. And I don't think he is ready for that. It would maybe do him some good to go somewhere that has not a quarterback controversy, because I don't believe any franchise will be successful doing that, but at least somewhere where he could maybe shoe himself in. I don't think his shoes go anywhere near the door with Aaron Rodgers there, unfortunately. It's just seeing what these do. The problem is the quarterback needy teams. There is only maybe 2 or 3 out there that have actually a roster that is good to go. Denver being one of them. I think maybe would Denver maybe look at someone like Jordan Love? I don't think that's a bad possibility. But then the argument is your roster is really good to go now. You probably want someone a bit better. Pittsburgh. With the 2 guys we've got there, maybe looking at the draft. I mean, the quarterbacks in this draft are not meant to be wowing people. However, again, we'll talk about that later with the combines just come out, and really a lot of the stock that's rising within that quarterback class, I think, that's really gone up in the last few weeks. I just really don't see what I don't see what his purpose will be in Green Bay other than being Aaron Rodgers' is backup. And it's just, what does he want out of that? He could easily win a ring, be in the second field to Aaron Rodgers in the next 4 years, or does he have the hunger to go out there? The quarterbacks now, if they're playing to 40, he's got a lot of time, but you can become very relevant very quickly. Unfortunately for quarterbacks, if you're not in that limelight and you are not producing. The other issue that this contract now brings up is the available money for everyone else. More so Davante Adams. It is heavily rumored that he's going to be franchise tagged and that they're going to try and pay a new deal. And apparently this deal with the guaranteed money has been able to offset some cash. It's as much as we enjoy this sort of thing, Andrew, about the offset costs and things like that. It's not that interesting for the fans out there. Basically, his deal is so big, it is allowing money to be spent now because it is their guaranteed money and it's been stretched out over 4 years. So they are going to be capable to franchise tag Davante Adams. So that keeps him for another year, maybe. If they can get the deal done, he might be there for longer. He might pen a 4-year deal as well to be able to be him and Rodgers. I mean, he's 29, I think, as well. So what's this next step for Davante Adams? They're going to franchise tag him. It's not been confirmed yet, but it's pretty much clear it is going to happen. Does Adams now? I mean, Adams was really it seemed like he very much wanted to get out of Green Bay. However, there was a little bit of this cloak and daggers thing that Aaron was doing with Adams as well about not really answering any questions straight and stuff like that. Is this just a simultaneous thing? Is that if Aaron stays, I stay. If he went, he went.
Yeah, I mean, there was the whole catch-22 with this. I think prior to the signing for Rodgers, there was how are they going to both of them seek chatting to other teams regarding free agency, because they both were sitting on the fence of, well, if he comes back, I'll come back. It was very much set open. I feel that Adams was saying, if Rodgers goes back, I'll go back. But Rodgers was saying, I'll only go back if Devontae Adams comes back. So that conversation has got to have already been had, I believe, for Rodgers to pen the deal. I feel like he would never have penned it if there wasn't Adams coming back, because I feel like that was said a lot. So yeah, they want to play together. I think they get the best out of each other. Same for Adams. Why go and risk going somewhere else, not having the relationship with another quarterback, and your career maybe sort of sliding a little bit? You may as well ride the train with Rodgers. So yeah, I think there was already a conversation had prior to them chatting to other teams that they both wanted to know that both were going to be signed together. So yeah, I think it's a done deal for that.
Yeah, I agree as well. Let's sort of look at other people who have sort of looked in the free agency market. Move on from Aaron Rodgers, talk about the free agency market out there. When I did my notes yesterday, which was in the late afternoon, I had David Njoku F-tagged the first one. Since then, there's been about 6 in the space of 24 hours from me writing my notes yesterday to coming on now. We've had David Njoku, Orlando Brown, tackle over at Kansas City. He's been franchise tagged. Jesse Bates, a safety over in Cincinnati. He's been franchise tagged. Dalton Schultz, tight end of the Dallas Cowboys. He's been F-tagged. Am I missing anybody? I'm sure I am.
Mike Gesicki, I think it's been.
Mike Gesicki, at tight end at Miami. He has been franchise tagged as well. Now, the important thing is we are the Franchise Tag podcast, and we have explained what the franchise tag is a few times to people. So we're not going to dive down. We'll dive down one time. Franchise tag is where you basically pay the median wage for that position for a year time, and you have a certain amount of bracket to be able to negotiate a longer deal. However, there is conditions in there that if you don't really do that, the player can seek trade, can leave, really. So it keeps them around for a year, but not guaranteed really for a year, I suppose, at the same time. And also what's important about franchise tagging, you can be franchise tagged and then moved on very quickly because you have paid. A lot of teams will do it to players that have been very loyal for a long time, so that they can go and get good money elsewhere. And so, guys who are a bit more veteran that they feel like it's never had a real true payday, they'll pay them the medium because it's higher than their wage they've ever had. And then they'll trade them with probably a team matching or exceeding that salary, usually only on a 1-year deal, though, because it's just to get that final farewell and thank you, I suppose, from a team. So I don't think we've missed anyone. We probably have. Well, we'll quickly talk about the F-tag guys who have been tagged. So David Njoku for the Cleveland Browns. Surprised? Not surprised? Do you think he's sticking? Do you think they maybe move him?
Yeah, I mean, they've got 3 good tight ends in the camp already. I feel like he had great potential and great upside at the position. He's just really struggled to stay healthy enough to showcase his talents for consistency. So I thought that'd be one they moved on because they have 2 other.
I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to interrupt you. There's been some breaking news.
What have we missed?
Don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phone. Put it down. This is live reaction. You need. Right. Let me have a look. So. This was released 11 minutes ago, so we are behind the times already here at the Franchise Tag. Blockbuster, this is Adam Schefter reporting. After weeks of negotiation in one of the largest trades in NFL history, the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos have agreed to terms of a deal involving Super Bowl winning quarterback Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson it says let's have a look. So Blockbuster, Tom Pelissero, Blockbuster plus massive one. Okay, so Tom Pelissero reports that the Seahawks and Broncos agree in principle of a trade sending Russell Wilson, including multiple first-round draft picks plus additional picks and players per sources. Denver says it has nothing to do with him not getting Aaron Rodgers. We've also another breaking news is Mike Williams has signed a huge contract for the LA Chargers. So that has happened. Also, Cam Robinson has been franchise tagged by the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I'm sorry, I'm afraid the franchise tag, guys, this is out the window, I'm afraid. And I'm afraid Mike Williams, congratulations to you on a 3-year deal worth, how much is it worth? 60 million. I mean, well done to him. That's huge. That is huge. Denver it's been felt like they're in the market for somebody for what feels like most of the year. Russell Wilson, it's felt like it's been about 2 years that he's not really been comfortable there in Seattle. There was rumors of him going to New York because of the pressures of his family, who is his wife, who's in showbiz, and New York's the place to be. And it's not Seattle, Washington, or maybe it was California team because to be in California. But no, they've ended up in Denver, Colorado, which it's probably not the place that maybe I wanted to be in terms of her career. But for Russell Wilson, what does the future hold now for Russell Wilson in Denver, Andrew? I mean, how shocked are you about this?
I mean, out of listening to the places that he could have gone to, I think this is a perfect landing spot for him.
Yeah.
And when you look at terms of where the Broncos are at, I think you could easily have given up whatever you wanted, because they've got Javonte Williams, rookie contract for 4 years, great. Don't have to worry about that position. Patrick Surtain, rookie contract, 4 years, great. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler. I think Sutton's already signed a new deal. I think everywhere you are on the field and looking at it, he's got support for the next 4 years on a cheap deal. They don't need the draft picks. They don't need to build anymore. They'll get some stock in the later round. So I think this is perfect for him. The weapons are there. It's a good organization. We've seen Peyton Manning get success there from moving from his lifetime at the Colts and then moving to the Broncos. So see Russell Wilson doing something similar. This is going to be absolutely fantastic for that organization. It's something that we've all said was the final piece they were missing at the Broncos. So this is perfect. And it also means that there's no more of this chat of Russell Wilson going to the Eagles or the Commanders. So I am very happy
as well.
very happy at that. So
I am freaking pumped, like real pumped for that. That is what a division. Like Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, Pat Mahomes. Like that's fire. Like, I mean, LA, the Rams, the Rams, the Cards, and God, I can't even. I'm so excited. I can't remember. The 49ers must be like pumped about this as well. Just to further add on to it, Drew Lock is part of the trade. Drew Lock will be going to Seattle. Which apparently there is, as it says, as I said, that Tom Pelissero has reported, it is multiple first-round draft picks. I presume that is probably one this year. I can imagine it's one next year as well. It may even be 3. I doubt it will be 3. I think with the Drew Lock thing, and there may be multiple. There may be second-round, fourth round, third-round picks as well in there. But Drew Lock going the other way, that was literally what I was going to bounce onto now. Is what do Seattle do moving forward? They've now got Drew Lock. Has had not a great time over in Denver, has had lots of question marks over his maturity as well as a leader and on that team. What's the next move here for Seattle?
I really don't know. I mean, this one's caught me by surprise of what Seattle are going to do. I mean, we already know that they are behind the other guys in terms of where they are for getting to playoffs and winning Super Bowls with the Rams and the Cardinals and the 49ers. I think in terms of Drew Lock, I think he'll be a good sort of filler. I think you don't need to do a lot with the playbook. I don't think. I think Drew Lock gives you very similar attributes to Russell Wilson in terms of the style of his play. So I don't think you're going to have to adapt your playbook too much, and he'll fit in and be a filler. Whether they're looking at that draft for the following year, whether they're looking at a Bryce Young or a CJ Stroud, that could be their option that they're looking to because those two guys, there's going to be a lot of hype about them, I think, going into next year's draft. So they might be looking ahead to that there might be some of the picks in there for them for that. So I think Drew Lock is going to be a good filler for them. I think he'll do okay, but he's not the answer for the future. I also don't think they'll waste. I personally, I wouldn't waste money or cap space or picks on trying to fill it with anyone else that's available. I don't think there's anyone else out there better.
Well, that was going to be my next thing. Is presumably if they have Denver's first round pick this year, that's the 9th pick, and everyone's. I mean, I've only quickly found it because I tried to look at my mock draft. Outside of the Panthers at 6, I mean, people may argue the Lions want a quarterback. I doubt it. The Panthers maybe arguably want a quarterback. Let's see what they do now that the market has changed up with Russell Wilson going. I mean, the Broncos could have their pick of the Seahawks, if they have the 9th pick, could have their pick of the quarterbacks in this class. Do you think it's worth do you think it would be worth spending a draft pick at number 9 here to get the likes of Kenny Pickett? Or, I mean, Leek Willis is very comparable to Russell Wilson in that stature, can run with the ball, great arm. You've got Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, like I said. So you don't think that they should spend anything on that and go for maybe just BPA, best player available, or defense play, because their defenses have been poor and their O-line's not been great?
Yeah, they do need to really look at that defense. They might want to bring in a bit of competition for Drew Lock, and they might go for one of these guys. And if it doesn't work out, Drew Lock being in there, who else have they got? Who's Seahawks' backup currently?
Oh, it was that guy.
Did they trade? Did they trade for Jacob Eason? Did they trade for Jacob?
They did get Jacob Eason, but they had that other guy in, the tall guy. I can't remember his name. I think they did keep hold of Jacob Eason.
I think he moved around a little bit. You've got to be looking at the fact that they don't want to be upsetting DK Metcalf, and they don't want to be upsetting Tyler Lockett. That's the last thing you want to do. That they're the future of they're your team currently. My trouble with that would be, they've got Jacob Eason and Geno Smith. Jacob Eason could easily, for me, he was one of the talents of that draft as a backup. He's got an absolute cannon of an arm. And he's been with the Colts and trained with the Colts for the last couple of years. So he would have learned a little bit there from Rivers and Wentz. The trouble is, looking at this draft class, some of them could be incredible. Some of them could, hit the ground running and really change a franchise. But we don't know this for certain with this draft class. We know what we'll get out of Drew Lock. I don't know whether it'd be a filler. Unless they've seen someone they really like.
I'm just catching up on everyone in the NFL world that is just perplexed by this. I mean, I was straight up saying that Matt Wagstaff, part of the franchise tag Fantasy Football League, has just posted a photo saying nightmare. So as a Seattle fan, I mean, Seattle fans out there are going to be incredibly disappointed with losing Russell Wilson, who I've said for so long, every time, if Russell Wilson's fit, playing well, they have every chance of winning any game. And it's interesting, and it's interesting, you've said since last year, Denver always goes for a vet. They always go for a veteran. They won't go for a new quarterback. It has not worked in the last few years. And if you look at the history, Peyton Manning, they did that. It didn't work for Joe Flacco. But everyone knew it wouldn't work for Joe Flacco. That was no surprise. And then they tried and tested so many young guys. They brought in Teddy B for the bridge. They've gone and made the big deal. I'm so pumped for Denver. Like we said it last year, but they were like a piece away, and it was the quarterback.
They're a very likely team as well.
They are.
I think they're the sort of team that if you're a neutral or you want to support someone from that side of the division, then they're a team to very much get on board with and like. So I think there's going to be a lot of people really supporting them.
Yeah, and Nathaniel Hackett being the head coach over there, former OC for the Green Bay Packers. He's not got Pete Carroll, who's been famously a defensive style coach for so many. Wilson must be pumped. I'm really pumped for him. I've made no secret that Seattle are sort of my second team, and I made no secret that Russell Wilson is my favourite player in the league and has been for a long time. I just love this. I love everything about it. We'll move on from this, though, unless anything else really pops up, and then we're going to have to go straight back to it. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on these notifications. I'm very happy that I have all the main NFL reporters on notification pop-up, so it comes up straight away. But let's just move on quickly to maybe some of the other free agents that are out there. The F-Tag guys, I mean, quickly to say about the F-Tag guys. Orlando Brown, no surprise. Jesse Bates, no surprise. Cam Robinson, the Jags has just come through, no surprise there. Dalton Schultz, he's a good tight end, not a great tight end. You surprised about him getting franchise tag there when there's a lot of players in that team, especially now with Amari Cooper going, which is probably something we'll talk about as well for your division. We can link them together, I suppose. So the Schultz issue, Amari Cooper looking like he's going to be released by the Dallas Cowboys as well. However, they are fielding out to trade him before they release him. That it never works. I never understand why they go, we're going to release him, but we'll try and trade you before we release you, because every team's going to go, well, no, there's no benefit for that. So what are you thinking about this Cowboys team at the minute, considering they're in your division?
I mean, well, we know they've got a lot of money tied up in Zeke and Dak, and did have money tied up in Amari Cooper. So they were going to have to be really sensible about franchise tagging and what position they've got it. They've got we now know they've got a couple of good youngsters on defense. So I'm guessing the going rate for franchise tagging a tight end is not going to be a lot. So it's probably a sensible move to keep a key piece in the line for receiving if they are going to be getting rid of Amari Cooper, because you're going to have to keep hold of some of those key pieces. I also think that them getting rid of Amari Cooper, although they've, like I said, I said it loads before they signed Dak Prescott, they've got themselves in a massive pickle with Zeke and Dak and Cooper's contracts, and a couple of their O-linemen were on big contracts as well. But I think he's going to be a big loss. I think he's real key to them winning. I think if you look at the stats for Dak Prescott when Amari Cooper is on the field, I think I saw a stat that Dak Prescott was 60 yards better per game when Amari Cooper was on the field.
I saw the win-loss record, and it was mind-boggling.
I mean,
about how good it was.
You're then asking CeeDee Lamb. He did look fire at times, but he dropped a lot of balls, and he cost them a few plays in the playoffs. Like, he's good and he'll be the future, but he's not a solid wide receiver one. They might lose Gallup in the waivers, and he's one of the free agents you probably want to talk about. And then Cedric Wilson, who had a couple of nice games towards the end of the season. Again, I think your wide receiving core and supporting Dak Prescott is going to drop off the radar quite considerably if you lose Amari Cooper. Whether they're looking at addressing that in the draft, I don't know. They might do. You know what they're like. They like a big, flashy, shiny new toy. So that could be the route that they go down. But yeah, I would. Whoever gets Cooper, I think they're going to get a good piece. So.
I agree. I think there's a lot of teams who are going to be sniffing for Amari Cooper straight away, and it wouldn't shock me if people like the Raiders. Obviously, he was at the former Oakland Raiders and now Las Vegas Raiders. I think New England Patriots could definitely be in there. There's rumors of NFC East teams looking at him as well. The Eagles. I'd also like to add to the Russell Wilson saga that Shelby Harris, defensive lineman, has also been part of the trade over to Seattle, which I think is a really smart move for Seattle, because that is an issue of theirs, is that defensive line. I think that's really very good, and very, it's a good move for them there. Multiple picks. We'll find out as soon as that's announced about what the multiple picks are. In fact, it may have just come up. Okay, Jay Glazer has reported the trade is for 3 players, one being Drew Lock, obviously one being Shelby Harris, and 2 first-rounders and 2 second-rounders and a 5th for Russell Wilson and a 4th. That is what Jay Glazer has just reported. So I'm sure more will come out in due course. Big shout out to Abdul, who's jumped in our comments saying, come on boys, Russ to Denver. Well, we're very happy for you, Abdul, if you are a Denver fan, or is that, I don't know if that's just a statement, maybe. I don't know. Maybe he's letting us know what's going on out there in the world. We'll talk about maybe a couple more free agents, a couple of trade rumors maybe, and then we'll try and finish off with the combine. We may leave out the trade rumors because this one has just taken over the podcast tonight. Free agents, I mean, I had the top 10, the top 101 NFL.com free agents they put out the other day. I wrote down the top 10. The problem is the top 10 now is whittled down to probably a top 6 because half of these guys from yesterday to today, it's changed in status. Devontae Adams, we've just talked about Chris Godwin, J.C. Jackson, Teron Armstead, Orlando Brown, Mike Williams, Von Miller, Carlton Davis, Chandler Jones, and Jesse Bates are their top 10 of free agents. I mean, Devontae Adams, we've just talked. I'm going to cross these off as I go, so I forget. Orlando Brown, franchise tag. Mike Williams, I've just said 3-year deal extension there. I think that was really good keeping him over in LA. Really good extension. Jesse Bates also being F-tagged as well. So we'll just quickly nip through these. Chris Godwin, are we thinking? I mean, there's franchise tag is the option for a lot of these here. I believe Patriots said they weren't sure whether they were going to F-tag Jackson. I felt like that may have been open-ended, but we'll start with Godwin. Godwin, do you think franchise tag probably kept? They've done it a few times now. He's surely going to be wanting to maybe stick around with this team as long as they know what their quarterback plan is.
Yeah, I think that's where he'll want to stay there. I think that's where he'll want to be. I don't know what they're doing at quarterback. That's going to have a few question marks on it. Then again, he might, depending on the names that come up, he'll be a good piece anywhere. So that's that. I think that one will be resolved quite quickly. I think we'll hear that one and that'll be released fairly soon because I can't see him staying sort of teamless for much longer.
Yeah. So. J.C. Jackson, do you think they'll probably franchise tag him?
Yeah, you've got to, haven't you?
That's the best cornerback there, one of the best cornerbacks in the league. Teron Armstead, Saints in cap hell. Do you think that they've got to let him walk, right?
I think they've got to let him go. I think that'll go. They need to rebuild. And I think that's going to be quite a big hit for them if they did franchise tag him. So, You're
just going to dive himself into a deeper hole if they franchise tag him. Von Miller, that's another one as well. I mean, now he looks at Denver. That he did put out a tweet the other day, but it sort of teased. I think he put his Denver numbers up like his shirt number, but he just left it very open-ended. Now he sees this. Is he going to? Because I think he's not going to want to go somewhere new. I think he either goes to the Rams or goes back to Denver. I don't think he's interested in going somewhere new. I
mean, prior to Rodgers putting pen to paper, I saw that there was potential of him going to Green Bay. But if I was Von Miller, I'd want to stay at the Rams. I think I'd be trying to get a deal done there to, I think Aaron Donald said it, didn't he? He was like, if everybody comes back, I'm back.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of them there. OBJ's gone back. We know that already.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of the guys that are like, look, if we can, I think with that team, and I really think this is true. If they think they can redo this again and get it going again, just take a cut in money and do the deal and keep that team together. I mean, he's been in the league for how long now? 2 Super Bowls. Does he really need a big deal? I don't think he does. I think he'll be happy to sign, pay for that team, and push for another Super Bowl. So I'd stay at the Rams.
I've just been tagged in a cracking GIF from the Denver Broncos actual Twitter of the famous Tom Hanks drawing Wilson on a ball. That's all they've put, which is absolutely fantastic. Well played, Denver Broncos social media team there. Carlton Davis, cornerback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you think he's sticking around? Is it one of them where if you keep Godwin, can't keep him?
Yeah, well, you can only tag one person.
Well, not tag, but could you reckon they can get the money to be able to sign him?
Maybe. I mean, I don't think he's particularly a massive household name out there that everyone's going to be going wild out. There's a few in the draft that are looking very talented in the backfield. So I think that'll either be sorting out a deal or letting him go. It'll be one of the two, I think.
So either going for Carlton or taking a bottle of that Sauce Gardner. That's definitely what people are going to be looking at. Last one, Chandler Jones at the Cardinals. I franchise tagged him before, I believe. But do you think he's going back to Arizona willfully? Because he didn't seem like he wanted to be there last year.
I don't think the majority of the news that's coming out is he's he's one that will be moving on. I think I've seen quite a lot of rumors. He seems to be the one person that there is lots of connections and rumors and chat that he's going. So that would lead me to believe that lots of people are already in chats with him already. So I think he'll go.
Fantastic. Well, let's move on to the combine quickly. I think we'll talk a little bit about the combine, but we're going to talk about it a lot more when it comes to draft time. When we talk about more the analysis of these players, where they're going to go. Hopefully, we'll be returning back with one of our episodes of the infamous alternative mock draft, which we get berated for every year because we put people in ridiculous places because me and Adam decide what position they need to go for and what they need to focus on. Andrew picks the player. We've had some good years, though. In the last 2 years we've done it, we've had some good shouts. We've done really well in town.
I think we've had some good shouts. And when you look at the players that we had going to the teams and then what they produced in the NFL, we were right about the players. And I think that's a key thing. That's a tick for us.
Yeah, I think that's a tick. Well, we tick it every year and we do all that. And obviously we'll be doing a lot more mock draft. I'm going to personally be doing a lot more mock drafts and stuff like that. But we'll talk briefly about the combine. Obviously, it was on Tuesday the 1st. It was finished up yesterday over in Indianapolis at the Lucas Oil Stadium. Saw some big names there. Some guys who have really put up their stock names. You now need to start recognizing Leek Willis, quarterback, Ike Ekwonu at a tackle position, Desmond Ridder, the quarterback, Kenny Pickett, the quarterback, Kyle Hamilton, the safety, Ahmed Sauce Gardner, though his name's Ahmed, we're going to call him Sauce over here at the cornerback position. Some fantastic running backs, the wide receivers, Drake London, is it Garrett Wilson? Before I go and say his name wrong, Garrett Wilson. We did not see Evan Neal, the suspected first pick in this draft, nor the quarterback Matt Corral, who's also been suspected of being a first-round pick as well. What's your take from the combine, Andrew? I know you watch a lot of it over the days that it's on. I try and watch as much as I can. I've seen a lot of the best bits. I've seen Jordan Davis, a 6'6", 21 stone animal of a human being, run as fast as any guy I've ever seen run. What's your take from the combine over the last few days?
Yeah, it's been a really good combine, really competitive. I think there's been a lot of guys this year that have gone, yeah, I've been invited. I'm going to go. I'm going to showcase myself just to try and elevate that draft stock up, because I think it is so competitive this year at each position. I think bar Carl Hamilton, there's not a definite I'm the best at this position and, there's my tape, take it or leave it. I mean, everybody's fighting to be the best this year, and I love that. And they've gone about it such a good way. If you're watching any of the highlights, there's a lot of cheering from the sides. There's a lot of camaraderie and stuff like that. So it's always insane. I've watched so much highlights. I've watched so much of the stuff. So I've even read some of the quotes from some of the teams of what they were asked behind the scenes and stuff like that as well. So I'm trying to absorb it all in.
Cool. Who's your biggest riser? Who are you thinking has really gone to this combine and shown their skill set?
I think for me, and Adam's going to.
I know there's a lot of positions, obviously.
Yeah, but I think Adam's going to be straight on the bandwagon of going, typical, like he had to say an Ohio State player. But I think Chris Allarvey, I've banged on about him all year, and I've talked about him, how good he is. But when you're looking at mock drafts and you're looking at where people are picking him, they've got him down towards the bottom of round one, sort of the 6th wide receiver to come off the board. I think he, for me, was the biggest winner of the wide receiver core that are going out there. I thought he was easily the biggest winner. I think we already knew what we were going to get from Garrett Wilson. They both play from Ohio State, but Chris Allarvey, I thought, really showed real great 40 time, and he was excellent in the field drills. I think he's raised his stock. The two guys from Alabama, both injured, so weren't there. I think Trey Burks didn't showcase as good as what everyone thought he was going to be, blasting out a sensational time on the 40. Wasn't there. His field drills were better. People were likening him to AJ Brown prior to the combine. I didn't see that in this combine. He watched all of his drills. So I feel like Chris Olave has really elevated his draft stock and might pip some of those people and raise up to maybe the 3rd spot or 4th spot of the wide receiver. So for me, yeah, I think he was my biggest riser. I think the quarterbacks, none of them did bad. None of them. I thought they all did really, really well. I feel like they showcased themselves very well in what they were going to bring to a team. So I still don't think personally you can go one of these guys from what we saw at the combine only. One of these guys is definitely the standout better player. You know, Leek Willis. If I was you, Fred, and I was a Steelers fan, I would be getting excited about this guy, especially.
I'm so excited.
Absolute cannon of an arm, absolute beast of athleticism. Well, that's more athleticism. We saw that's from his tape. But combine, I tell you what, though, have you watched much of it? Have you gotten the hype with him yet?
I've watched a bit of it, and my problem is every other team and every other person's seen it as well. I really want Malik Willis to drop.
Now, I brought this up with Jeff Reinbold when he was on the show. It was something that I spoke very highly about Joe Burrow. Go back and watch the interview with Malik Willis because he talks so well. I think they do the tests and everything. He scored really, really high on the Wonderlic test. He's a very intelligent guy, and I think when you're looking at the combine, that for me, I said, was something I look at in the quarterbacks, and he turned up really well, and I feel like showcased how much of a cannon of an arm he had. So if I was a Steelers fan, I'd be getting excited. I thought out of all the quarterbacks, I thought Desmond Ridder was the best at the combine. I thought he rose his stock out of the quarterbacks. You know, he set great times, great jumps, great interviewing, great everything. He just had a really good day at the combine. So I feel like he's done himself the world of good doing all of those drills. He interviews very well, and he was very consistent. I think if you look back at his career with Cincinnati, I think he's the most winning of all these quarterbacks that have going into the draft. And Kenny Pickett, you remember when you asked me about we spoke about the guys that might be coming into the draft this year, and we kind of talked about them, and no one really knew the name Kenny Pickett, and you were like, what's my take on him? And I said, I haven't watched a lot of tape on him, but what I can gather is he's consistent and he's steady. And that's exactly what he was at the combine. He was consistent and he was steady. For me, he doesn't wow me yet. Like I'm not, Malik Willis wowed me. I'm like, wow. I watched a lot of Matt Corral. Matt Corral didn't do anything in any of the drills because he's still recovering from his injury. He wowed me at college. He got a great arm. I think people are saying, I've heard this a lot, he's like a bigger, taller Kyler Murray that when he's out of the pocket and running at people, they move out the way of him because he's a big guy. So, if you're looking at those comparisons, you've got to be excited about that. But Kenny Pickett, for me, they're liking him to Tom Brady. They're saying he's very confident, very good in the pocket, very structured, a bit more of that statue kind of quarterback, and he throws the ball nicely. He's just a nice player, and he was steady and he was good.
And I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about all these quarterbacks, all these players in weeks to come. But to finish off the show, I will give you the official package from what has been reported of this Russell Wilson trade. Because, I said there was a third player. I was pretty shocked at who this third player is, actually. So the official package is the Broncos have now got Russell Wilson and a fourth rounder from the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are getting 2 first rounders and 2 second rounders and a 5th rounder. We've already said they are getting quarterback Drew Lock. They're getting defensive lineman Shelby Harris. They have also acquired tight end Noah Fant. He's gone to the Seattle Seahawks as well. More reaction, I suppose, in the next weeks about this because we are hitting to the end of the show now. Andrew, whirlwind show. We're back, better than ever, I hope. I mean, this has been a mental show. This might be my favorite show we've done in this year for sure.
We've always wanted some breaking news when we've been live, haven't we?
We got it with Sean Payton with Jeff Reinbold, but like he knew where it's like no one knew about this, and it's been crazy. What a crazy night.
I'm a bit gutted that it came out because I really wanted to talk a bit more about the college players. I had a lot more. They're taking over my slot of talking about the O-linemen and stuff like that, and the fantastic giants that ran the 40 times, but. We got plenty of time to talk about that, haven't we?
Plenty of time, plenty of good stuff for weeks to come from the Franchise Tag podcast. Thank you for joining us this evening. Good luck, you Denver Broncos fans. Bask in the joy of Russell Wilson tonight. Commiserations, Seattle Seahawks fans. Until then, we'll see you all very soon.